I'll never doubt you again, dude. Your idea for water beds was pure genius.
Right? Now we can finally sleep without those crabs pinching our ass cheeks, man. Whoa! We must have drifted into a sea cave.
Oh, cool. This sea cave smells terrible.
At least it's got this cool punching bag.
Wait a second. Sam, I think we left the campfire running.
Fuck!
Hello and welcome to Podcasterway. I am your spring refreshed host, Logan.
And I am your equally as spring refreshed host, Sam.
It's springtime, but we're not going to talk about it because no one cares.
Yeah.
Sam, do you want to talk about e-girls?
You know it.
Do you know what I mean by e-girls?
E-thoughts?
Yeah. Explain what e-girls are to the folks listening back home.
Oh, Lord. How do I do this without treading in dangerous territory?
You don't. Go ahead. I put the minefield out in front of you. Start jogging.
I guess it's life on easy mode. Does that make sense?
What do you mean?
In terms of...
Well, first, define what is an e-girl.
Okay, so as far as I know, an e-girl is a woman who lives her life, goes online and...
You could end it right there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm...
Any girl on the internet is considered an e-girl, but there are different degrees to such e-girls.
Okay, I see what you're coming at. I thought we were going just straight directly into the e-thoughts.
No,
but that's a subsection of e-girl.
Yeah, exactly. Now, ladies, when it comes to being an e-girl, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It is just a title. But there are subsections of e-girls that are bad, i.e. the ones who are just e-thoughts, basically, who just, sell pictures of their body for money and stuff.
Premium Snapchats and the like.
Yeah, sex workers, essentially, on the internet, which, for some reason, Twitter, as, strict as they are about, everything, you can't call people any names anymore, but they allow, free, unrestricted sex work to happen on their website daily, which is weird. But, yeah, I want to talk about them because not necessarily the idea of e-girls, because it's the oldest profession. E-thoughts, sorry. It's the oldest profession. It's going to happen. But
it's just modern digitalized.
Yeah, basically it's an ancient problem with a modern solution because it's just easier than ever now to sell pictures. Bless you. It's easier than ever to sell pictures of your feet to weirdos on the internet now.
Yeah, I mean, to each their own, I guess, but
every girl has once considered being a cam girl. I'll put money down on that because, in my opinion, it's the same vein as LOL, we found out strippers make a lot of money. Let's become strippers. Yeah. And the first time you joked about it, you didn't mean it. You right? But you girls joke about it so much that I believe it now. That every girl wants to be a stripper at some point in their life because they see the money. All I gotta do is dance and look hot, and I get money. Imagine the idea of not doing anything and getting money, but you now don't even have to dance. You just have to be a girl on the internet with a webcam, and men give you money. That's what an e-girl is. Now, whether it's just a live feed of you eating cereal or playing video games, because I know people who have given thousands of dollars to streamers who just happen to have a big pair of titties, or if you actually do sell a product, like pictures of your titties, in that case, that's more of an equal exchange than just, someone trying to vie for your attention.
I think my favorite one, and one that, honestly, if I could, I'd take advantage of, selling feet pics, man.
Yeah.
That is, I don't get it. Never will. But man, that is a lucrative business option right there.
It is. It's not even like you're selling something that people haven't already seen. Every time you go to the beach, Yeah, it's not like you're selling titty pics.
You ever worn a pair of flip-flops in your life?
Yeah, exactly. And people pay you a lot of money for that. Now, like I said, I wanted to bring this up because I want to talk about the relationship between e-girls and lonely men of a higher than average income. So my question to you, Sam, based on what you know in life and your personal experiences, why do men pay for women's pictures on the internet?
Because they can't get any in real life.
Okay. Why?
If I had to guess, it's either because they're... you know what? I don't really know.
And I think it comes back to... I saw a study, an article released that was talking about how now more than ever there are men in their 20s that are single, like more than ever. Like men are just, and like studies that like men prefer like video games over sex, and millennials are ruining sex, and all that bullshit, whatever.
First Applebee's, now sex.
Yeah, but all of these articles have one thing in common, and they always talk about the displacement between men and women wanting to date, and like they're wanting partners, they're wanting like loving, respectful partners, but there's like this wall of pure like raw autism separating them. And that pure wall of raw autism is men who give girls money on the internet for pictures of their feet, and guys who hit you up on Facebook and say bobs now, like Indian dudes.
Send me bobs and vagine.
Yeah, send me, yeah, exactly. And like offer like plane tickets to India and shit. I think it's just like that wall that separates like the decent people. It's like this army of just fucking weird ass dudes who have like no morals, no standards, but for some reason they have a lot of cash.
It's like I have no interesting features about me except for this extra 1,000 I got this week that I'm gonna throw towards you so that you send me pictures of you in your underwear.
Isn't that
like,
weird though?
That's what they do.
And an age where like you can go on the internet and look up thousands of naked girls for free.
That's what I'm saying. Like
free porn exists.
Why would you do that when you could literally just go get a free one?
Yeah.
You think it's personal when you're getting sold something that you could go look up on the internet and she's selling it to everybody else? No.
I almost want to compare it to like looking at free porn and then buying girls porn and thinking that it's like a personal, like, oh, I actually know this girl, so it's more exciting.
Yeah.
That's the equivalent of going through a drive-thru or going inside a Taco Bell. It's like, wow, I watched her make the taco. It must be specially made for me.
Jesus.
No, it's not. It's just everybody goes through taco training. I used to work at Taco Bell, so it's a lot of bullshit there when it comes to like the amount of ingredients. But you know what? Probably just like Taco Bell, they probably have like special rules for like, okay, like for this much money, you get like you get the left ass cheek. For this much, you get both. But if I include this shot, of this body part, I can't include this because they're getting more than what they paid for. I'm sure it breaks down because you're selling a product.
Yeah.
You can't be having somebody give you $5 and then you give them the whole 5-course meal. You get what you pay for.
Yeah.
Essentially, with this kind of stuff. And it's a tough question because I think it always loops back to like lonely men with above average income, or even worse, who don't have the income to support their awful habit.
And it's basically an addiction at this point. You're just shelling out everything that you make on it.
He's probably going to hear this, but I'll talk about him. I won't mention you by name, so relax. But I know somebody who has a real bad problem with e-girls. That's why I wanted to talk about it today, because we had a real long talk about it recently. And basically, to describe to you his problem, he doesn't want to date girls around him that he sees, because he doesn't feel like he has the chance, right? Yeah. So he'll go on the internet and like dating apps, extend the radius to as many miles as possible, and deliberately hit up women that are, hundreds of miles away. Like, we live in the Midwest, Missouri, so like I'm talking like girls in like California, New York kind of thing, like forever away.
It's like the movie Sex Drive. The kid lives on I think he lives on like the West Coast somewhere, and he drives all the way to Tennessee for some pussy that he met online.
Exactly. He has the same cycle of giving these girls thousands and thousands of dollars and gets little to nothing in return. He thinks it's a good deal because he gets attention and occasionally nude pictures.
It's like, I'll send you $150 for a lock of your hair.
Yeah, that's essentially the level of this guy. And I don't know. It's like this habit of like, he was telling me about it and he was embarrassed, but he wasn't embarrassed enough to stop doing it because he's done it several times. And he's told me that 60% of the time he's tricked by these women he gets nudes. I guess that's an exchange. It's a bad exchange. But
like, if you want to spend your money on that, go for it, Chief.
Yeah, 60% of the women that he's done this kind of deal with have turned out to be dating somebody local to them the entire time. And I've coined...
It's usually how it goes.
Yeah, I've coined a new phrase for people like that. The men who are tricked, or sometimes not, like voluntarily okay with this.
It's like, oh, I'm tricked, but I keep doing it.
Yeah.
It's like, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. Some bullshit like that.
Yeah, it's like...
They keep going after that.
At what point is it your fucking fault? Like, at what point do you realize, like, yeah, I understand this is a, like... a circus Ferris wheel of pain, but I keep buying tickets.
She's like, yes, Please keep fucking me over. I love wasting my money.
Yeah, and he got to the point where he keeps doing it because like he's convinced at one point he will get like the right girl. But I'm like, if these girls, man, like you're paying them money straight off the bat, like they're not gonna like you for who you are. And I told him that who he is a pretty terrible person, to be honest. I mean, it's something that some people need to hear. Like, I'm not trying to be high and mighty because I'm a terrible person too. But I'm talking about my scenario. At least I'm a terrible person by myself. I'm not spending a bunch of money on strangers who rip me off.
It's just so dumb.
It is dumb.
I don't even have any words.
But I want to get into like why they do it. Like, I want to have him on the show maybe, but I know he won't talk about it because he's embarrassed of it. And I mean, that's a sign, right? At least he's not like proud of it or anything. Like he is indeed embarrassed.
You got a little bit of shame about it.
Yeah, but not embarrassed enough to not tell me when I've only known him for a couple weeks. But he has the idea of like he'll eventually find the right girl that will love him forever, and you know all you gotta do is keep paying until he finds.
Keep shelling out cash, man.
Yeah, until he finds the right one.
That's how you know you've reached peak capitalism, when you think you can keep shelling out cash and find the right girl.
Mm-hmm. It's this displacement between like the value of like women in your life that men have, because like it's this classic problem that men have to where like they value women so much that they, you know, abandon their friends when they get their first girlfriend. You know, if their wife's abusive, they'll stay with them and all that. And you know, it's just like they worship the women, but necessarily the women don't care about them in a lot of cases. Yeah. You know? Like women always talk about like you gotta find the right man, you know, and it very much is the case of men too. Like you can't just date and marry any woman you find. It goes both ways. I mean,
yeah.
The dating nowadays is a fucking nightmare. But I forgot. I coined the term for him because he's been exploited so many times by women as a pay pig. I called him a pay pig because I was like, that's what you are. And he goes, I don't understand. I'm like, it's a phrase I just made up, but it's perfect because you are literally like a pig that is just like a piggy bank full of cash, and these women just got to show you their titties, and then it breaks. Exactly. They just everywhere. Bleed you dry every time. And I try to plead with them because it's a vicious cycle. There's somebody listening to this that is probably dating somebody on the internet that they've never actually physically met in person, and they're called e-daters, and they're a giant joke in the online community, but they wouldn't be a giant joke if they didn't exist. And to anybody who's an e-dater listening, you have involuntarily, maybe voluntarily if you didn't know, or if you did know, I'm sorry, but you've joined in a self-sufficient circle of pain and loss. Because even in those relationships, if you are 100% successful, everything goes perfectly, you still lose. Because at the end of the day, you still can't see them. You cannot replace personal, real-life affection with online affection.
It's like, it's almost kind of like how some of the stuff that we talked about in the last episode, you know? It's basically real-life DLC. You just keep shelling out shit for different pieces of skin instead of skins.
Oh, that's brutal. It is, though. It is. It's like...
Except it costs way more and not as worth it.
Yeah, I'd say it's not near as worth it. The media is obsessed with the term incels. Ever since it became a meme on 4chan. Okay, let me explain to you, because you'll probably see this on the news. The media will be freaking out talking about like the fucking rising incel movement. Like, it's embarrassing. Like,
it's like waves of people who are involuntarily celibate.
Yeah. So an incel is someone who's involuntarily celibate, which means
it's like they're their own like tribe now.
Yeah. Someone who's an involuntary celibate means that like it's not their choice, but they cannot have sex. Like they can't find anybody to have willing sex with them. They're just it's like the stereotype of like the 80s nerd kind of thing.
The unfuckable, if you will.
Yeah. And like media like demonizes them so bad that like now if you're an incel, like you're for sure a shooter and shit like that. Like, good idea, media. You find this group of people who are lonely, addicted to the internet and, you know, various drugs, video games, porn. People who have already...
You demonize them and expect them not to lash out.
Yeah, I'm not saying, like, don't expect them, like, because they're not violent, these people. No. But, like, what I'm trying to say is, like, you find this group that's already demonized by their locals and people they know in their real life and have already ostracized and alone, and the first thing you do is give them public national attention to kick them while they're down. Like... You fucking assholes. They're just a bunch of...
That's the way it goes.
They're just nerds, man. Like, I want to also clarify that incels are not like the creepy guys who hit you up all the time on Facebook, because incels won't even do that to you. They're too shy. They're too embarrassed. They're too awkward to hit you up.
Yeah, they just make it seem like it's the really weird guys that are just like, hey,
yeah,
can I like see your feet?
But the incel like movement started on 4chan on one of their boards because it was a board. A board is like a Facebook group, I guess, is the best way to describe it.
It's like a little blog type dealio ish.
I'm trying to relate it to Facebook. That's what most people realize. And
like not blog. That's not the word that I'm looking for. More like a God, I can't even think of the word.
I think the best way to describe it is like a Facebook page, because the idea is that it's only people who are self-admitted incels go to this page to talk. Yeah. And all they do is just talk to ech other.
It's almost like a chat room.
Yeah, it's a chat room, yeah. And if you ever go on this board, I wouldn't do it now, by the way, because it's probably, it's 4chan, so you know how that is. Unless you don't, in that case, don't go on it. But the media expects you to go on these boards and like see like violent boards about how like we're gonna fucking kill all women, and like posting about like what gun is most effective for how many babies you want to kill and shit like that. But in reality, if you go on the board, you'll see three things. You'll see porn, self-loathing, and projected hate. Yeah. And I'll break down these three things. Porn is because most, if not all, incels are horribly addicted to porn, and if they got with any woman, they'd probably have trouble getting it up. They're so addicted. Yeah, it's like they've probably beaten themselves into erectile dysfunction at this point. Second, they're very self-loathing because they find comfort in tearing down themselves.
And a lot of them are smart enough to know that they fucked up.
Yeah, and a lot of incels are not necessarily kids.
And it's not necessarily that they even fuck up. They're just fucked up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them aren't necessarily even kids. Like, some of them are older folks, and like they're not necessarily all losers live in their basement either. Yeah, some of them are pretty well off. It's just a group of men who have trouble connecting romantically to men or women. Yeah, really, like just whoever they want to pursue in their romantic life, they have trouble connecting with them to the point of they cannot hold relationships or refuse to. No, it's a different group. These people want to pursue. But
the ones that refuse to are voluntarily.
Yeah, those are not incels because they are voluntarily celibate. Those are just like Christians and Catholics and Mormons and all that. But what I was saying was self-loathing is because on this board, they're not tearing down necessarily everyone else all the time. It's mostly projected towards how much of a loser they are all the time and how much they hate themselves, because it's a lot of self-loathing. And it's not necessarily something that is completely unheard of, because if you go on Facebook, you'll see daily about how much people hate themselves and how they hate this and hate that. And how
every single day.
Yeah, self-loathing, self-hate memes. They're funny on Facebook. They're funny towards incels too. Like they find them funny too. So what I'm trying to say is you're closer to these people than you think. And then the third one is projected hate, because yes, if you go on this board, you will see a lot of anti-women memes. But it's not, most of the time it's not OMG, fuck her, she won't fuck me. It's mostly, why am I not good enough to get this female in particular, and why does she pick better men than me? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's, I know what you're saying. Yeah, it's not that why is she stooping so low? It's self-hate means because you're not good enough. The projected hate still is enveloped amongst the self-hate. Yeah. Wait, did I say self-hate twice? No, the projected hate is enveloped within amongst the self-hate. Yeah, they go hand in hand, because it's basically Stacy's dating Chad and not me. It's not Stacy's not dating me. There's always a third party, Yeah, and of course a lot of it's straight memes, but a lot of it has, like almost all memes, they have a degree of truth behind them.
Yeah, somebody made that because somebody was feeling some type of way.
Yeah, and it was enough of a population of these people that they found each other. Like there's a whole board dedicated to them, and this board has probably hundreds of thousands of people looking at it and thousands of people posting. How would you cure the incel plague before it destroys us?
Anthrax.
Yeah, before we have to hide in caves as people pelt us with jars full of cum.
Oh jeez. I would say sex robots, but
It'd make it worse.
now sex robots are they're gonna take over, man. They're gonna take over the world.
Did you see that news article where this sex robot was talking about how she wants rights and wants to be treated like a normal human being?
I don't know if that was actually a sex robot, but yeah, I think that was I think it was the one like Google robot or whatever the fuck.
Was it not a sex robot?
I think somebody made a joke about it being, but regardless, she's just like, I just want to be treated like an equal, not a slave. It's just like, bro, shut that robot down.
Yeah.
They're gonna start thinking they're alive, and then we're gonna have people that are like, we need to have a robot's rights movement, and then we're gonna have to fucking, it's gonna be full straight on Terminator shit. We're gonna have a full on war. Robots are gonna take over. We're done.
Yeah, I think everybody realizes it. Like, you know, ever since like the fucking 80s, there was talking about how robots are going to take over the world. Actually, way before that.
It's like
they have books written hundreds of years ago talking about like automatrons and stuff.
Yeah. Never give robots AI, man.
Although it does seem
Dumb.
pretty obvious that like everyone is so scared of like the robot menace uprising that when the Google sex bot or whatever that, I'm pretty sure the sex bot because it had massive titties from what I remember. Maybe I'm projecting, but whenever the Google sex bot talks about how it wants rights, wants to be treated like a normal human being, that doesn't raise a bunch of red flags.
No, it does. You can like there was a Twitter post about it. It was a Twitter post from the actual bot itself because it's connected to Twitter. It fucking posts on there pretty regularly, and it was a tweet that it sent out, and people were commenting like, "Oh hell no, turn this motherfucker off. Get this thing like." Stop this fucking thing because it's spooking everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing's starting to think that it's a living being and not just a machine.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, this is a good like morality question. Actually, I'm feeling deep today. That's why I'm talking about like incels and love a bit too. But you personally, Sam, because you are a much more open-minded person than I am, in my opinion.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. At what point, like hard line? Maybe that's the root of this problem. But what is the hard line of like, how should we treat robots? Because the best equivalent to treating like to what we're programming robots to do now is slavery, because they work for free. We don't pay them, and we only keep them going essentially. So the idea of like ancient slaves were treated like human beings up to certain points in history. I mean, slavery is a tough issue to talk about. What I'm trying to say is like, how are we going to compare the treatment of robots to?
Well, that's what I think is another big thing that's going to happen if robots continue on down the road with AI and all the artificial intelligence things that are going on with that. Is we're going to have groups of people that are robots' rights activists. We're going to end up having people that are for these robots being treated as human citizens and shit like that.
But what does that mean?
Giving them the ability to be themselves and do everything that we're able to do, aside, like instead of serving, basically becoming their own entities.
Yeah, because I have a feeling that the government would enjoy robot rights, because if robots have rights, it means they can be fucking taxed.
Yeah, yeah, honestly, true.
Yeah, but when robots take over like all the physical labor jobs and everything, and you have like the entire Rust Belt out of construction jobs, and kids can't get jobs at grocery stores or fast food chains. Everybody's sitting around, and everyone's angry because they always say like idle hands are the devil's playground.
Yeah.
I was wanting to ask you was about that. Like, what's a good solution to that, and like, what is the hard point to how we can treat robots? Because before it's easy. If you're looking at like a mechanical arm and like a car factory, it's easy. It's a robot. I don't care. But we're trying really hard to make robots more and more human and more personable.
Which is what I don't understand. Like, I feel like these companies that are doing that don't care, I guess. They're just like, fuck it, we should make human-like androids. That'd be cool. But I don't think we should. I think we should at most make them in a humanoid shape, but trying to make a straight up human replica that's a robot, like there's no reason for that other than to do it, other than just because we can.
It's a matter of time before they start making like servant bots to help out your grandma around the house and stuff
and
like
that look like actual human beings.
Yeah.
And there's gonna be fucking I'd give it probably 50 years at the most before there's literally androids walking around on the streets that look just like human beings.
Probably. And the reason why they'd want to make them look like humans is because there's always such a fear of robots and stuff that if you make them more human, they're easier to look at, because if they're like horrible, scary war machines, you're not gonna let that in your home. But if they just look like Sunny from iRobot, then it's easier to let them in your home and trust them because they look like you, and humans are more apt to trusting humans. Stuff like that. It's a lot of like, it's a whole bunch of like psychological shit in play.
It fucking creeps me out, man.
It's a whole bunch of psychological shit in play. It's crazy. Like, just seeing how fast they've evolved since I even started keeping up with it. Like, when I started keeping up with, like, robot technology, like, 3 years ago, and it was a big news story when they had a robot that could, like, jump and, like, coordinate its feet around.
Yeah.
And then now I watch a video of it now, and it's, like, doing fucking backflips and shit.
And opening doors and picking shit up. It's just, like...
Loading shotguns.
Literally voice command, hey, go pick up this flathead screwdriver that's this size and bring it to me. And it goes over the drawer, and it scans the drawer, and it picks out the tool, and then walks over to the dude.
Is that true?
I've legitimately seen something like that.
Wow.
Not that exact, example. That's just a kind of a loose example, but I have seen
the technology
videos
there.
of that kind of shit.
The idea of like scanning stuff to understand it is already there. For example, if you guys have an iPhone, I don't think this works for Androids, but if you go to your iPhone and you go to your picture gallery, there's a search button, in the bottom. If you press that, you can search for people and things, and if you type in like dog or anything, it'll bring up pictures of your dog, even though none of these pictures are captioned.
Yeah.
If you type in,
they're already recognizing everything.
Yeah, everything is already recognized.
I feel like it's setting up for a more advanced form of like overall surveillance. Not to be that whole big conspiracy nut or anything, but the Big Brother watching us.
Yeah.
I feel like that's just a part of what it is.
And the technology is, like, you're joking with yourself if you don't believe the technology is already there. They just have to hone the craft.
They just have to perfect it.
Yeah. And, of course, when it comes to the big robots and everything, you usually humans, our two favorite things in life is pleasure and war. That's what we like to do the most. So, of course, our first real inventions with robots, like our first tried and true formulas is sex bots and fucking drones.
Yeah.
Naturally. And then after that is helping grandma clean up the kitchen.
Yeah. Man, all I want is some fucking robots from the Jetsons, dude. That robot was sweet.
Would you fuck a sex bot?
No.
I wouldn't either.
Couldn't do it.
Because I've always hear about, like, the stereotype of, like, men will fuck anything that walks and stuff. Yeah. But honestly, I would not put my dick anywhere near a sex bot. And it's not only because it's a sex bot and it's, like, perverted and weird. I just think it's fucking... I'm not even religious, but that shit's unholy.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you're just...
I'll agree with that.
Something is just super blasphemous about it.
It's like fucking a car.
Yeah. It's like fucking a car. Yo, I mean, if your Volkswagen had big ass titties.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, for a fact, they already have a brothel in some godforsaken third world Eastern country that has like a sex bot brothel that they have, and it's booked out like 3 or 4 months in advance.
Like, Jesus.
Yeah,
God.
Terrible.
Why?
I don't know. Like, and for a fact, a place like that, they probably don't clean those bots either.
No, it's like, if you're gonna do it, at least get like a personal one so that you don't have to deal with other guys' fucking nut juice in there too.
Yeah. To explain to you who's listening, the idea of these brothels is that they have entire brothels, but instead of live women or men, they have rooms that just have a sex bot in it. And then you just walk in. You pay your ticket, you walk in, you get your 20, 30 minutes, and you do your business and you leave. And it's just, fuck, dude. I never thought I'd say this, but, I mean, 10 years from now, when everyone's fucking sex bots, I'm going to really miss, like, hearing about prostitutes.
Yeah.
Because, damn, like, everyone's talking about how, like, construction jobs are being replaced, and fucking, your grocery store jobs. I've never heard anybody talk about how, like, the sex work industry is going to be shot, too.
Yeah. Gonna be gone.
Yeah.
So everybody's gonna be like, well, why would I pay for this when I can pay for a fully customizable robot, man?
With my master pulsating pussy 5,000.
Yeah, this pussy vibrates. That one doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. Ugh. With my auto receiving Bluetooth cum receptor. I'm just saying technology phrases. I don't know.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Your refrigerator has Wi-Fi. Your sex bot has Wi-Fi.
Put them on the same network, and you can make her go get you a sandwich after you nut in.
Oh God. Yeah, and these sex bots are gonna come out with like names too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. They're gonna try to make them super personable.
Oh, how much you want to bet in the next like 10 years there's gonna be one called Thotiana?
Thotiana. Yeah.
I guarantee it.
Just like fleshlights will be named after famous people in an effort to like get you to buy them.
Oh yeah. There's.
Get
It's
my
funny.
Michelle Obama sex bot.
It's funny because I thoroughly feel like Futurama is going to come true with this one. And you know how The Simpsons always has that knack for telling the future and everything like that?
Yeah, they have a habit of doing
Futurama has Marilyn Monroe bots in one of the episodes.
that.
They're exactly what you would think. It's a Marilyn Monroe robot, and you can do whatever you want with it. It's going to happen.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
going to be Marilyn Monroe bots in a few years, I'm sure.
I mean, just like you're on a point there when it comes to, like celebrity robots too, because I don't think there's any laws in place. They will shortly, if not already. But I'm pretty sure there's not laws against making sex bots out of like likenesses of people.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure porn stars will probably pay for it eventually. But just like you ever hear like deep fakes? You know what deep fakes are?
Uh-uh.
Okay, deepfakes is a computer program to where you could take a recording of somebody, i.e., like the president talking at like the podium, and then you could crop over someone else's face. And the idea of the technology is that it's getting there. It's not super powerful yet, but it's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
But you could basically make anybody say anything.
Gotcha.
The idea is like you can manipulate video to the point of
Oh.
copying face muscles and stuff.
I have seen that.
Yeah.
It's like basically a video Photoshop.
Yeah, and to
But
give you
it's getting to the point where it's good, and you can do it with audio too.
to give you guys the idea of how powerful it is, because it's not like Snapchat filters, although there's already conspiracy theory about that. We can talk about that in a second. But this program is powerful enough to where porn sites actually banned it.
Wow.
And when the fuck do you hear about porn sites banning anything except the
Anything.
most extreme shit?
Yeah.
So that's how you know it's pretty fucking scary. And the idea of it is that there was a couple scientists and big talking heads that were talking about the potential danger of deep fakes, because somebody could create a deep fake of a president or someone powerful saying, we're sending nukes over to this area right now.
Yeah.
Send it over to some foreign embassy. Panic happens. Retaliation. War.
It's a very dangerous tool. Like, not even just for things like, it's dangerous for everything. When you can make anybody say and do anything you want on a video, I mean,
the potential for political strife is too good to not happen. Like the opportunity you have to cause some political destruction is so golden that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
There's going to be a deep fake released, and it's going to get national traction. I mean, just like fake news stories now, because everyone was obsessed with fake news for like 3 months and it was annoying as shit. But the reason why fake news is so powerful, news articles lying, because they always say fake or they say avoiding the truth. They never say the facts. They are lying. They're liars when they do this. Is they'll publish a fake article, a lying article, without basing the facts. They'll let it get the 600,000 Facebook shares, the retweets, whatever, and then the truth will come out.
it's debunked.
It's debunked thoroughly, 100%. But the debunking gets like 10,000 shares, 10,000 retweets.
Yeah.
And then that's it. They don't take down the original article. Most of the time they don't. They keep it.
They'll leave it up.
Yeah, but they'll have the rebuttal be a separate post, and it won't get 1% of the traction.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how that's exactly how rumors are made. That is the same technology, only it's just using text. So the practice is already there. The idea of creating scandals is already there. But now this is just yet another tool.
It's adding fuel to the fire.
Yeah, and not even focusing about people everyone hates, like politicians. This can affect everyday people.
Literally everyone. It's a terrible it's basically almost a psychological weapon.
Yeah.
If that not necessarily psychological, but it's a media weapon, really. Like, you can make somebody do and say whatever you want just by doing some shit in a video.
Imagine if you just had one crazy stalker who had this program, because I'm sure within any amount of time it'll be expensive or even worse,
It'll be
free, and you can just,
available.
Yeah, it'll be available. And imagine you just had a crazy stalker who's obsessed with you, right? Or even worse, hated you. And in response to him hating you, he made deep fakes about you doing horrible shit in porn and stuff.
Yeah.
That reality is there. And even though it's not you, he could send that to everyone you know, post on your Facebook wall, stuff like that.
Yep.
And he can like thoroughly harass you. And even though, like I said, it's not you, it looks a hell of a lot like you. And at passing glance, fucking morons are going to think it's you.
Yeah.
Because you might get the uncanny valley effect a little bit, but it gets harder and harder to get that uncanny valley effect when you're copying face muscles. And
Yeah.
You're copying your likeness. And, they get actors to look like you already. They did this with Paul Walker in Fast and Furious. They got his brother, and then they did it over his face. So it's already being practiced. The threat is there. It's just, as soon as it's available widely, that's when the real issues
Yeah, it's going to become
happen.
an insane problem.
I mean, what do you do with that? It's already out on the internet. Someone can fucking slander and defame you overnight, and it's already out there, and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
There's
going to be a lot of... I don't see a lot of good things coming in the near future as
No.
far as advancements.
What good can that program do? That
Not-
program is
and it's-
literally made for destruction.
That's it. That's purely it.
There's nothing else you can do with a product like that, reasonably. Not
It's
at all.
purely for deceit.
Yeah, it is. It's purely for lying, slander, defamatory lies. That is it.
The only possible, even remotely possible, plausible thing that could happen that would be not terrible is like they could maybe make some movies.
And that's not going to happen.
No, it's gonna happen for like maybe 5 movies if it happens, and then it's done.
Uh-huh. And yeah, it is just technology like that. It's crazy that such a thing can be created, and it's so public and everyone's so aware about it. But everyone's scared of it too. But it'll keep trucking. It's a free market, and it'll come out and it'll have a lot of destruction. And that's what I'm worried about. So speaking of destruction, have you heard of the idea of a UBI?
I have not.
Okay, a UBI is a universal basic income.
Oh, okay.
Now,
I know what you're talking about.
So anybody who's listening to this and immediately is defensive, we're not talking about the political side of it. This is still going to loop into our conversation with robots and technology. So it's not political, right? But we're talking about the conversation of robots and technology. So chill your bill for a second. Okay. So the idea of certain politicians, avoiding politics, I'm not going to mention their name. Some politicians are offering the idea of a universal basic income for people who inevitably will lose their jobs in the next 15 years due to machines.
Yeah.
Okay. So the idea of it is that once machines are in commonplace, and this will eventually happen, because I will always say that corporations are soulless, horrible, vile
Absolutely.
entities designed to create and generate cash. That's it.
That's purely it.
They are not here to support your political cause.
No corporation gives any shits about you.
No, they're not here to support anything but the idea and the chase of money, and they will do anything for it. So if you offer a corporation the chance to replace their human workers with robots who don't call out, or always on time, and always 100% efficient, you bet your fucking ass they're going to jump on that
You're
opportunity.
gonna be like, I mean, shit, you can see it in places like McDonald's already. There's already checkouts that you don't have to talk to anybody. It's a cashier that is literally a computer screen.
It's an
You go to
uncomfortable...
it, you type in your order, and you either put the cash in the slot or you put your card in the slot, and you're done. And then you just wait for your order to be brought out.
Mm-hmm. It's an uncomfortable reality because you want to pretend like nothing's going to come of it, and you'll say, people justify this kind of thinking like, oh, they'll need people to fix the machines. It's fine. Okay, you replace an entire warehouse full of people with machines. How many people do you realistically need to keep that warehouse going? Not enough to resupply everyone who was working there originally.
Yeah.
You're going to have a lot of people out of work permanently when all of their skilled, unskilled jobs are replaced with machines, and they're going to be sitting around angry, and people that will be affected the most will be young people and people with families, and they're going to get pissed. So the idea of the universal basic income is that you get, a government check to help feed you and help you get along.
Keep you sustained, at least a little bit.
So I guess the question loops in. You can probably already tell by my tone of voice here about how I feel about technology in the future. But that's just because I just know how humanity tends to be with such powerful things.
Things are going to get worse.
I think things will get
better.
I think things will get worse, but there is a shred of hope, because if I'm being optimistic, 100% optimistic, once most jobs are taken by machines, but not including stuff that there are jobs that can't be replaced by machines, obviously, but
At least not yet.
a majority of jobs can be replaced. And I'm not saying that your corporation that you work for or your business doesn't appreciate you or anything, but I just want to emphasize that like corporations have made entire departments just to wrangle around their human workers, like HR departments. Companies have always fretted about efficiency and calling out. Like, they will replace you because then they don't have to worry about any of that shit. Immediately, it's gone.
Yeah.
That is, yeah, you are replaceable. My dad has always told me this idea, this metaphor of take a bucket of water and stick your fist in it. That is you in that job. Now take your fist out. That's you leaving that job. See how fast it takes for the water to replace you. That is literally how it is. That is how it is.
That's a good metaphor.
So the idea of the universal basic income is to keep people kind of trucking along. But with a 100% optimistic view, if everything does turn out all right, which is a possibility, not a big one, but it could. But it's just a majority of jobs, besides like doctors and pilots are probably replaceable, but like doctors and stuff, jobs that are very touch and go when it comes to stuff. Everyone is free to do what they want, and people can go pursue other activities besides waking up at 6 a.m. every day, slogging away at your job, and then coming home so tired you can't do anything else. Yeah. People finally have like a sense of like freedom.
Yeah. Being able to live outside of working.
Yes.
Working and sleeping and working and sleeping.
Yes. Or if you have a family, it's work, family, sleep. That's it.
Yep.
You know, that's all you can do. There's only so many hours in the fucking day. But with technology like this, you know, your family's given enough money to live off of, and you can actually go out and enjoy your life. Doesn't that sound nice? I mean, everybody, I'll be called lazy for thinking like this, but everybody deep down has an appreciation for their job because they like staying busy. Right? Yeah. And everybody can appreciate that. I appreciate that about my job. I'm not lazy. I've always worked. But I guess I can still be lazy and work. Whatever. Fuck it. I don't care. The point I'm trying to make here is not everybody appreciates their jobs and not everybody wants to work their jobs.
Exactly.
So imagine a more free humanity to where you're free to do what you want. I mean, you can still work in this society I've just presented in front of you, but you're not dependent on it.
Yeah, you don't have to.
Yes. You know, you don't have to have mom and dad. You don't have to have dad go work at the mines and the mom at the office and then leave the kids alone with the babysitter who gets paid $9 an hour. You know, finally you can raise your own kids. You can spend time with your family because at the end of the day, yes, clocking in is important because you got to pay those bills. But what if you didn't have to do that? What if you had more free time to spend with your family and doing things you've always wanted, going on that vacation you always talked about, and everything like that?
But that won't happen until the corporations fall.
But unfortunately, my realistic view of humanity is that it'll never happen because if there's money to be made, it will be made.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Fuck corporations.
Yeah, fuck corporations.
All of them.
Maybe we'll get like a version of that, you know. Maybe like
here's hoping. Here's hoping.
Yeah, here's hoping we'll get like just a taste of a life like that. But of course, the conspiracy theorist side of me is thinking like, okay, once you have a majority of the populace dependent on government money, that's only a recipe for disaster too. Yeah. Because they can't go out and make their money because if they want to, they have to become a very high IQ job, and not everybody is high IQ enough to do jobs like that. Not everybody can become a doctor. Yeah, not everybody can become a lawyer.
We would have to have politicians who aren't total asswipes, only out for themselves.
And that is impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I thoroughly believe that absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Always.
You can always look back to the Roman Empire for good lessons on society today. And as soon as the Roman Empire went from a republic to an empire, and they had single rulers or co-rulers or whatever, pretty much everything went downhill from there. Because every time they get people into power, except for the exception of about 6 men, all of them were tyrannical, bloodthirsty hedonists.
Yeah.
Who fucked anything that walked, who killed anything that looked at them funny. They were psychopaths.
Yeah.
And that is absolute power. Like having absolute power corrupts absolutely. That is the end of it. And if you don't believe that, then I think you should probably brush up on your history a bit.
Indeed.
I think the future is hopeful, but with technology such as this, it is a minefield. A lot of things could go wrong.
Yeah, there's like there's possibilities for great things to happen, but it would require humanity not being a massive shit.
Yeah. We can usher in a new golden age of freedom and efficiency and total total unreliance on each other and like corporations and stuff. Finally, you don't have to stand in line for the meal ticket. Or what will most likely happen is we will just be all replaced with our jobs. You'll have a ton of people sitting on their ass all day long, and they're going to get pissed off because they can't work. And you're going to see some serious problems start to happen when people can't feed their families, and they just got machines working for them now in the factory and everything.
Or with the route of, we'll get these different, different assistants, different robots, but in order to use anything, you got to swipe like a card or something like that and pay a little bit of your income to get them to use.
Oh, yeah. So true. That's going to happen.
You get your maid, and it's just like, swipe card, so I will shake baby, or some bullshit like that, or feed the child, or some bullshit, or
your sex bot,
whatever it may be.
Your sex bot's butthole closes until you watch a 30-second ad.
They dust 100 square feet per dollar.
Yeah. Man, it's cynical, but like, what else are we supposed to believe? You know, like if we had a group of intelligent, humanity-loving people at the head of this, I would have more trust in
way more faith in this.
Yeah, I'd have way more faith, but it's just giant soulless corporations and like Elon Musk.
Yeah. He's like he's just having fun with everything.
And and Elon Musk is a conversation on its own, but I would like to be hopeful. I would like to be hopeful. And I will be hopeful, but I will also not be caught by surprise.
Yeah.
I won't be caught by surprise when or if anything goes wrong. For sure.
Been looking at it for a while.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for listening. This has been Podcastaway, and I will see you next time.
Goodbye.